Hey guys, welcome back to Kampai Sugai podcast. My back got itchy all of a sudden, but welcome back. You know, we got someone real special today. Someone who's been a trading partner, coach for Max Holloway back in his early days, and then someone who's also trained with the likes of Cain Valesquez. We can talk about that as well. We got someone who is a fighter, but he's also an ERP administrator, so someone that works from home as well. But we're going to talk about why he's getting into fighting again. So please give a round of applause to Mr. Jon Barnard.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the show, man. So, first of all, what are you doing in Hawaii? Because you actually live in North Carolina now.
Right. So I'm here to drop off my children. So every year since 2019, we've been coming back to Hawaii to visit. Normally, I'll be here for a whole month. As you stated, I do work from home, so I can work pretty much anywhere I want.
Yeah.
But this time, I decided to stay back in North Carolina. I wasn't supposed to have been here this time, but my kids wanted to come here for the summer, so I ended up bringing them and dropping them off. So I leave in like a few days. So I'm only here for a few days.
Right.
It's not technically a vacation, but I'm trying to make the most of it while I'm here. So I'm actually continuing my training here. So yesterday I just got done training with Hybrid out in Kailua, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm working with Kaleo Kwan and those guys. Thanks for having me. But yeah, so I'm just here to drop off some kids, and I'll be back to Charlotte in a few days to finish my training and stuff, and then head out to London.
Yeah, the Martin's over there too, right?
Martin Day?
Yeah.
Is he?
Is he over there at Hybrid?
I know he. Maybe he cross trains with them, but I think he's with Max. I believe. I don't know.
okay.
Actually, he's at Elite XC. Elite.
Elite.
Yeah, Hawaii Elite as well. He's probably all over the place, and then he also have his the martial art company or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I gotta hit him up. Maybe we can come link up with him as well. He got some good clean boxing I like to work with.
Yeah, I bump into him sometimes in Kaneohe because
Oh, nice. Yeah, he's out in this side, right?
windward side guy, just like me. But you grew up in Makaha, so
the west
very
side.
opposite of
Total
of us.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, talk to us about that, like that upbringing, going from Makaha. Now you're in North Carolina, but
I see. So I was raised in Macau. As you know, most people in Waianae or Macau is pretty rooted in the culture of Hawaii. But with a impoverished mindset, I would say. And so I was raised around 11 siblings. I had 11 brothers and sisters,
Damn.
6 sisters
Whoa.
and 5 brothers. So as you may imagine, it's been pretty tough for my family to, stay afloat, should I say, in Honolulu, Hawaii, in Hawaii in general. So that's what led me to leave the islands. I seen all of my siblings really struggle financially here, and I wanted to change the legacy. We all got dealt these cards, right? And I was like, I think I can dictate the direction that my life will head. And so I went to college, fought all odds against my school teacher who said I was going to amount to nothing. I forgot your name, but if I did remember your name, I would put you on blast.
shout out,
Right? Shout out
to the doubter.
Yeah, but again, you did that did push me to actually want to prove you wrong, which I've done, And so, that was the reason why I chose to leave. Well, one of the reasons why I chose to leave. And in fact, one of the main reasons why I left Hawaii was we used to live in the low-income housing in Kapolei. Where the beginning of the train station starts, the rail starts. And I remember, like, every year, I believe, you have to go and re-qualify to be able to stay there. And so I was an actual teacher. I was a science and technology teacher for a school called New Hope in Kapolei. So I had that job. I was making peanuts, I would say it's peanuts, $30,000, $40,000. And the housing complex offered me a job as a community outreach representative, which was an on-call representative of the people in that community. So if there's any disruptions or disputes that they wanted to bring up to the housing management team, they could come to me and then I could represent them. And, I would just make sure that the community is safe and and things of that nature. But they offered me that job that they gave me about $10,000 to $15,000 additional income, right? So I was like, hey, part-time, more money, why not? Took that. The following year came. They said, hey, we got to reevaluate your income to see if you can stay here. They said that we make like $7,000 more than the that is allowed to stay there. So they were telling me that we would have to leave next year. And I was like, so I get ahead and you guys punish me for it. No, that day, right then and there, I realized that I am not going to stay in Hawaii and be subject to the government's like not control, but their schemes to
Parameters.
to keep me down. I think a lot of people in poverty, they stay down because they don't wanna let go of the government's hand. You know what I mean? And I was like, nah, I'm gonna make this happen. So I reached out to one of my old coaches that coached myself and Max, Colin McKenzie, and he opened his home. Well, he was going to open his home up to me. He was in the process of buying his own home. He was a sheriff in Eugene, Oregon, so he was gonna open his home up to me to allow me to establish myself so that I could bring my family out. So I went through the whole ordeal. I told the management company of the housing complex I was living out here that, hey, we're gonna leave. So I sold everything, like everything that I owned, because
Wow.
we was gonna move.
Dang.
Sold everything, shipped my kids off
So
to their
really
in-laws
start
house.
fresh.
Yeah, I was gonna start all over fresh. You know what I mean? So
Oh.
I shipped my kids to my in-laws, and then packed up my car. Loaded 2 suitcases, flew to Seattle, Washington to meet, and I also shipped my car to Seattle, Washington. And I went to Seattle, Washington, and picked up my car. And then maybe like a week before I left, my boy Colin McKenzie lost his job and lost his home and all that kind of stuff, all in the same time. And I just remember that, like, just that gut punch to the stomach. Like, damn, I sold everything. I'm homeless.
Yeah.
All this is like, you know what? I'm not turning back. I went there, slept in my car for a few days in Seattle, Washington. Well, I drove to Tacoma, and one of these good local brothers from Hawaii moved there, and he was a sergeant in the police department as well. And I went there the previous year to visit the states, and he told me, hey, next year if you come again, we'll take you kayaking. He's like heavy into kayaking, so I was like, heck yeah. So I called him up when I got there. I was like, hey, yeah, uncle, I'm ready for go kayaking with you. And he's like, okay, come. So I go there, we go kayak for a day, and then he asked me, oh, so how's your job and all that kind of stuff. And I told him what happened, and he's like, oh, bro, you can live with me. So I stayed at his garage for about 3 months, bro. Paying $100 a week. He allow me to pay $100 a week, stay in his house, and was amazing, bro. This guy encouraged me every day, pushed me, just spoke so much life into me. His name is Uncle Keone, and
Shout out to Uncle Keone.
the Uncle Keone's, man. So he got me. He ended up just every day pushing me, encouraging me. I ended up finding a job, maybe like a few weeks while I'm there, but it was a job in Tacoma, but I didn't want to live there. So I told him, hey, Uncle, I got a job, so you don't have to worry. I got the job. It's lined up as a teacher, as an additional teacher, but I wouldn't start till the following year, right? Because I left during the summer. So so I was like, okay, cool. I can relax my shoulders now. I got a job. I was still getting paid for my previous job as a teacher because I was during the summer when I left in Hawaii. So I'm waiting for that job. At the same time, I'm still hunting for work. Because I wanted to be in the IT sector. I didn't want to stay as a teacher. That you overwork, underpaid, crazy. So I was like, kept looking for jobs in Portland area. Ended up getting a job at a construction software company, a SaaS company.
Okay.
And it was a 3-month contract. Man, I just rolled the dice. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna get my feet wet in this IT space, I just gotta take it. So I took that job, told the teaching company or the teaching gig that, hey, I'm not gonna be able to start till a month later. And it's like, okay, no problem. Like they were literally just gonna wait for me, kind of thing. So I took that job. They gave me a 3-month contract. The 3 months passed, and then they extended my contract, and they just kept extending my contract. And then I was there with this one company that contracted me for about 18 months probably. And then I got another job. Somebody offered me a job. I already was established at a year in. And then I just kept getting job offers left and right. Then I landed a really good job called Realware, technology company. They gave me a completely remote position during COVID. And so once they gave me that job, I started looking at what's the best state to move to. And what's it called? Washington was one of the top, but I didn't like how liberal that state was and how rainy it was. So I that was out of the picture. And then Texas was another top state that I chose. That was one of the top states to move, and then North Carolina. The reason why I didn't go with Texas is because of the weather. It's just an extreme, just hot all year, or just super cold.
Yeah.
And then everything is just super huge. Like, it's just too busy. I'm a local boy from Waianae, which is very slow. And if I move to like a Houston or an Austin, it would be too fast. You know what I mean?
Different than Texas.
Right. So I didn't want to move there because of those specific reasons. And then North Carolina came up. Was told that, well, actually did some research, and North Carolina has some of the best public schools, and yeah, that's what sold me. And then they have the Four Seasons as well. And
Oh,
they have
nice.
all four seasons. Bro, the weather there is so amazing. Like
Oh, really?
all seasons is great. And then the last thing that they have was everything you could do as an American, you can do at that one state. You got NFL, you got
Really?
professional baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, like everything you could think of. They got Whitewater National Center, amusement parks, like everything, and affordable homes. You know what I mean? I bought
Yeah.
me a home sight on scene. I didn't even see the house. I just told my real estate agent I want it. Just looked at pictures, say I want it, put in the offer, boom, they accepted, bought the house, and then moved right in. Never been to North Carolina before. Like was that?
Really?
It was just like that. Yeah, I did like probably like maybe 5-6 months
Wow.
of just researching where I'm gonna move next, and that just kept pulling me and pulling me and pulling me too. And so I ended up making the move. Best choice I ever did make.
So what was it like actually going in like North Carolina? Because like you said, that was like your first time going there.
Right.
So
It was-
like, just
yeah.
going there, like, what did you
Oh
think?
man, it was like a kid in a candy store. You know when you get into like never been to a candy store before, and you just start seeing all of these different types of candies that you never believed that was in existence. That's what it was like. It was just you admire all the things around you. It's like I was just in the moment, just basking in the moment of all the things that
Wow.
this state had, and it's a
Interesting.
beautiful state. North Carolina is well. I would say Charlotte, North Carolina is a beautiful, beautiful city. And, you know, I remember when I first got there, I'm like over here stoked talking to my two daughters, like, look at the ground. So the asphalt, it like has like a glimmer to it, like a shiny.
Oh,
like,
really?
It's like like I was telling my kids, it looked like they put glitter in the ground. You know what I mean? And then the landscaping is so well manicured. The roads are so clean. It was just unbelievable. I'm blown away. Like, wow. Oh, like I'm just everywhere I go, like, oh, wow. Oh, like I'm
Yeah.
in a different country.
Uh-huh.
You know, and that was my first initial reaction. It was nice and green, luscious, the nice sun, the sunsets was beautiful. It was just all of that. And then I landed at like stores and I start hearing and talking to people. So the Aloha Spirit is well and alive, but it's called the Southern Hospitality out there. And so that's what made me even more hooked, you know? So it had something that reminded me of Hawaii, is the way that me and you can just have these conversations with anybody on the street
Oh,
in
for
Hawaii.
real?
You can do the same there.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only
That's amazing.
yeah, it is really great. And the one thing that I wish it was a little bit better is the diversity. That's the only bad thing that I could talk about North Carolina, because either you go there and all you see is popolos or you see howlies. That's it. And so when I first got there, that was like mind blowing for me. You know, it's like this is uncomfortable whether I'm hanging out with just popolos or howlies. Like that didn't bother. Like I cannot do that. Like I've never seen that before in my whole life. You know, growing up in Hawaii, you got everything.
Yeah.
And everywhere in the island, you got everything. You're never gonna see just all Japanese or all Hawaiians or none of that. It's just a melting pot. And so there is a lot of areas in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's just a one nationality predominant. And so you would have to go into Charlotte to see the diversity that they actually really have. So that was pretty much it, you know. But the popolos and the howlies are really, really nice, really welcoming, really kind.
That's good to
yeah.
know.
Yeah, it is. It's still worth it. You know, that's one little thing that I think that was kind of uncomfortable for me, is just hanging out with one nationality and just all of them. You know,
Yeah.
that's wild. Imagine you being placed in on school with just Hawaiians,
That's crazy.
only Hawaiians. You know what I mean? That would be
I'd
crazy.
stick out like a sore thumb, man.
Exactly, and that's what happens with my daughter at her school. She black too. You know, I'm black. But she howly, look more howly than anything. Blue eyes, you know. She get
Really?
curly hair. Yeah, my daughter, blue eyes, howly, real pale. She go to school. She's like one of maybe like 5 or 6 howly girls in the school.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then I remember going to my daughter's school for my daughter. She stayed on a roll and that. And I'm still watching the ceremony. She walking with her class in line to sit down before they award. This one Popolo kid come up to me. She's like, "Eh." Well, he said, is Amaya your daughter? I was like, yeah. He's like, no, she's not. She's white and you're black. I was like, what? This little kid, man. So it was weird, because then, you know, we do stand out, you know, out there. Definitely do. Yeah.
Well, the fact that those kids noticed that too.
Yeah, It is wild.
That's
It's really wild.
interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, you can get stuck in pockets where it's just predominantly black or
Mm.
predominantly white. Every now and then you'll find good diversity and mix in
Mm-hmm.
certain cities and stuff like that. But you got to find those. And I feel like I found the community that I live in is very diverse. I got
Mm.
like two. I have a Popolo on one side, an Asian Hispanic on the other side, on Howley across the street, and we got Asians down the road. So there's
It's mixed.
diversity in
Yeah.
my little cul-de-sac or my little subdivision,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But outside of the school and stuff like that, it's not so much, you know. So yeah, it's
Do
go ahead.
so you train out of North Carolina as well, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Do some of your neighbors they also train as well in fighting because they must know you're a fighter as well.
So I have one neighbor that knows that I'm fighting. They're like actually a part of my family now. They're my
Okay.
North Carolina Ohana, I call them, and that's my neighbor Steven and Liz. Those two individuals have been like a huge part of me being able to fight again. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they've been supporting me, helping me with my children, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and doing a lot for me in times when I need a babysitter. They pretty much just adopted me into their family.
Okay.
So that was pretty nice. But no, I've been trying to get these knuckleheads to come. Like, hey, you guys, I run this gym. This is the gym that I
Oh,
train at.
nice.
I'm pretty much the manager there. I've been
Mm-hmm.
helping the owner for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
My background in technology, I'm actually, you know, I did some
You're the account manager
right.
there.
So I did everything for him, the financials, everything that he needed.
Oh
I built his
wow.
website. I did all that types of stuff for him,
Mm-hmm.
so that now he's making an actual profit. You know,
Mm.
so that was really really cool. And anyway, so I use my leverage in the gym to bring them like, hey, whenever you guys like can come, you guys can come train for free completely. And they're like, you know, maybe not, but that's just not in their foreseeable future, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try, you know, I tried. I was trying to get her kids to come, you know, all that kind of stuff. But they're not really into that kind of stuff. But they're huge supporters of mine. You know, my
Mm.
last BKFC fight, they actually drove 2 hours to watch me,
Wow.
along with like 40 other
That's
people.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so man, like I said, the Aloha spirit is there, man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's wrapped up in a thing called the Southern hospitality, man. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a pretty good following out there. Driving 2 hours to watch me fight, that was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So actually, going to that BKFC fight,
Mm-hmm.
for those who don't know, it's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. That BKFC fight, you actually had a long layover before you actually went into doing that fight. So first off, how'd you get into fighting?
Okay, so
Right, we'll
I-
start with that.
okay,
First.
so I started fighting to lose weight. Well, I didn't start fighting to lose weight. I wanted to lose weight. I was in, I think, like seventh, eighth, ninth grade. I was fat. I was really fat, chubby. I used to be this fat. I used to be like a little Bubba Bee, should I say? I used to like playing ukulele. I was an ukulele boy. I used to go to school with an ukulele, fat as
Wow.
heck.
Okay.
Anyways,
Imagine
all
that.
of my friends started to get girlfriends, you know what I mean? And they wasn't fat. So I was like, you know what, let me lose some weight. You know, I thought that was why I probably wasn't, you know, didn't have too much friends. It was just like, I was just very reserved, should I say. So I wanted to lose weight. And I met my boy Colin. Oh, actually, I met him through my boy Sam, Black Sam. He introduced me to Colin and Shison, Laupola, and you know, we connected. We used to hang out at my friend Sam's house, and we used to spar with boxing gloves. And I used to spar with these guys that've been training at 808 Fight Factory. I don't know if
Okay.
you heard of
Oh,
them.
yes,
Auntie-
yes.
Uncle Ronald John and Auntie Kelly, Auntie Kim, and Kai Kamaka
Kaiko,
them.
yeah.
So they used to train there at Jesus is Lord and 808 Fight Factory. They used to come back to my boy Sam's house, and they would have gloves, and they'd make me and my friend Sam spar. And I used to spar with this guy. We would just bang each other, like, just banging, slugging back and forth. And that prompted them to start a fight team. So again, I still wasn't like into fighting, and I was just fun. We're just hanging out with my friends. They started a fight team called Team Rootless, and then they had like 4 or 5 guys in their team. And my boy, I just told him like I just like lose weight. So my boy Colin ended up taking me under his wing, and we started working out, jogging Keeley Drive out in Makaha Valley. And I just started losing weight, and eventually he talked me into fighting. He's like, bro, you should join our team, fight, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, nah, I don't like do that. That's not what I'm called to do. I just want to lose weight. I lost a decent amount of pounds. And he's like, hey, you should come corner me. So he made me corner him at a fight at I don't know if you remember the Kicking It back in the day. It was called Man Up, Stand Up Now.
Oh,
It's a kickboxing event at
yeah,
the Philcom.
kickboxing, right?
So he made me corner him. And that was it. Like I cornered him, and
Oh,
that
wow.
adrenaline rush was crazy. You know, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm in his corner, giving him water, wiping his face, and he's over here telling me, how am I doing? I'm like, I don't know. You know, so he's over here, but it just felt really cool
Yeah.
being there with all the fans cheering and all that kind of stuff. And he won his fight, then went back in the corner. He said, "What, you like that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, brah, that was so killer." Then a few weeks later, they had another event, and we went to every single weigh-ins. Me, Shice, Colin, Max, not Max, Black Sam, and Josh Ferrer. We all went to all the weigh-ins. And had this one Howley from Kaneohe. His name is Todd Young. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's a kickboxer.
familiar, yeah.
Kickboxer boy over here in Kaneohe. And his opponent fell out. This guy, mind you, I didn't know at the time, but he was like 12-0, knocking, beating up all the local boys out here. And they was asking he needed an opponent. So my boy Colin ends up talking to the promoters. Hey, I got a guy. He won 60. First time fighter. I think he can beat your guy or this guy Todd Young. And he was like, boy, he's convincing me, bro, you should fight this fight. I was like, no, I'm not ready, not yet. And he's like, bro, you can do it. I trust you. Trust me, you can do good. And so I was like, okay, whatever. He showed me the guy. I was like, oh, yeah, easy. I can take this guy. He Howley looking at us. He had flannel on, glasses, I think. And I was like, bro, I'm going to smoke this Howley. Like, that's literally my mentality.
Okay.
So we go to the weigh-in to scale, weigh-in. I said, he jump on the scale, take off his shirt, shredded. I'm like, oh, I just shrink. Like, oh my God,
dang.
what the hell did
Yeah.
I get myself into? Boom. I was like, you know what, screw it. Maybe I'll look. And so again, Colin started speaking the right words, encouraging me, telling me, right, you can do this, you can do this. The day of the fight come, all of my friends and family there and other participants of that event, bruh, snapping at my friend Colin. My broad, I wanted to beat up my boy Colin that got me this match. Everybody was so pissed off at him for matching me up with this guy. Then I find out that day that this guy was he's undefeated, beating everybody, one hammer. One hammer. Now, bruh, my tail tucked far between my legs. I was so scared, like really out of this world scared. And Colin just kept saying, bro, I'm telling you, I wouldn't put you in this fight if you wasn't going to win. Like, he would not. And he just kept telling me over and reassuring me and all that kind of stuff. I said, you know what? I just going to do this one time. I'm not going to fight ever again.
Yeah.
I get in there, blemish his record. After that, I fell in love. It was the best feeling I've ever felt. And that ever since then, I kept with it, stuck with it, coached people, and just continued down the path, you know? Yeah, that's basically the whole beginning. That's how it all started, man.
Okay. So you pretty much had to get pushed into doing
I had
it.
to get pushed into doing it. Yeah. Very hard. Very hard. Into the lion's den for sure.
Like just getting pushed into being a corner man and then being pushed into actually getting into fighting. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So I wasn't called to do this. Well, maybe I was because, you know, I'm fairly all right at it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so
You're doing very well.
I'm doing okay.
So like in terms of like after that first initial fight, what was your reaction after that? Like did you just like I want to be in the gym more, really hone my skills, or did you like kind of take some time to process things?
Nah, I was back in the gym right away. I never really thought that I was gonna keep doing it the way that I did. It was just fun. We was always at every single organization. After my first match, after knowing that my opponent's background and knowing what I was against, that just changed my thought process and everything. I just realized how fun that was. It was just fun to me. All of my fights was all pure fun. I never looked at fighting as something that was tough or challenging. You know, none of that. Weight cuts was always easy because we were always fighting at our weight. Most of my fights, we took the day of the event weigh-ins. Like most of my fights, we took the day of the weigh-ins. This last BKFC, I took with 2-3 weeks notice. I've never ever really had a full-blown camp. You know what I mean? We don't do that. We never did. We went to every single weigh-ins in Hawaii and just took whatever fights was available because we knew somebody would fall out or a match wouldn't go through and we can be the alternate. And that's how we became one of Hawaii's best striking and fighting teams in Hawaii out of a garage in Macau. So, you know, that's basically what it was. It was just pure fun. Yeah, we was always ready, always working out as a team. We created a really strong friendship and bond between me and all of my friends, and training was fun. Training was an outlet. A lot of us didn't have father figures in our lives or mentors in our lives, or we probably were doing bad things, and this was our avenue of staying out of trouble, you know. And so we did so much fun things. We would catch the bus and play musical chairs on the bus, city bus, dog. All the way from Makaha to
Oh, that's I never thought about doing that.
so
That's
we had
interesting.
so much fun,
That's
and
fun.
Max, all
That
of
does
them
sound
too.
fun.
We would go to the remember Kapolei Theater, Kapolei Kmart.
Okay, yeah,
We used to
yeah.
go to Kapolei Kmart and play Chase Master and hide and go seek in that store. All of us in our team, we would go movies every weekend. We'd go to church every Sundays together. We did everything as a brotherhood, and that's what made us so good and always ready, because we always trained first and then we did fun stuff. So we always looked forward to every bit of our time with each other, you know, and that was probably why I never really took it that serious. I never really had ever got nervous, you know what I mean? Besides my first match, I've always been humble, always been ready, and you know, it was always rewarding after and before the fight. So, yeah,
And that helps too because of the momentum that you guys have,
sure.
because that brotherhood that you guys have, that it kept things alive, I guess.
It
You know,
did,
it kept
it
it kept the energy alive, I
For
think.
sure, man. It was just it was kids, man. We all were kids. Our coach was a kid. He was 2 years older than me. We're all young kids training each other, but it was that bond that kept us, you know, kept us
Kept
going in the
active.
ring, staying active. Our cardio was really normally off the chain, and you know, we just was open to learning. We just had a great individuals that was pouring life into all of the kids out in Waianae that maybe didn't have a great future lying ahead of them, you know, without the guidance that we had from one another and going to church and all that kind of stuff, for sure. So I think that's probably played a part in why Max and myself, like, Max is not like, you see how Max fights. He's not stressed and pressured. Like, he enjoys the crap out of it. He's pointing to the ground. That's bang. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nobody in
he
their right
he
man will do
loves
that,
fighting.
right? It's not about the win. It's about the entertainment, the enjoyment of it. And that's literally what we was able to cultivate in our gym back in the day of at Team Rootless and God's Army, for sure. Yeah.
That's true. Like when Max fights, like you can see actually with all the Hawaii fighters, yeah, Alpuni out there. Shout outs to you. His recent win.
Yeah, nice. That was killer.
You know, all those guys, like you can just see they have the love of fighting, and then they have that brotherhood after
Yeah,
with people
sure.
they fight with. They're like, oh, that, you know, like, oh yeah, well, we're brothers after, but then in the fight it's like, oh, let's go, you know, let's bang,
Yeah, yeah.
let's get it out there.
Yeah.
So that's a great mentality to have, I think.
For sure. I think that's saved a lot of lives, man, in the West Side. You know, from going down the wrong path. But I think we need to definitely get back on that train of doing that. You know, but we'll see.
What do you think about? So I saw an interview with Dana White recently, right? He was talking about how he was trying to get fighting into or UFC events in Hawaii, but the thing is, like, I guess they couldn't come to some kind of agreement, some kind of contract agreement. However, we have a lot of Bellator fights here. Why do you think that it's hard to get like UFC promotion fights here versus Bellator?
I think, as a business, I work in the business sector. I see how the operation works, right? They're looking at their profit margin and all that kind of stuff before anything. It is expensive. It's going to be very expensive to bring all of their production team here. One, you also have to pay all of these fighters. It's going to be a very, very expensive endeavor to get all of these organizations in Hawaii. Bellator, what they're doing is they're doing a great job because they're taking advantage of the locals' hunger to want to fight. Right? If you notice, the Bellator, they're the only people that are fighting mainline fighters are like the main card, whereas everyone else is locals fighting locals. So that covers most of their fighting purse, and it really keeps it down at minimum. UFC don't play like that, and I think if they did bring fighters here, it's going to cost them a lot of money. And the UFC knows how valuable they are as a company, that if they do come to Hawaii, they're bringing asses in seats, excuse my language. And so they want the state of Hawaii to actually cover
Part of the cost.
part of the cost, because they will benefit from it, and they're just not seeing that. And I think it's who is the leader of the travel industry? I think it's Mufi Hanneman.
Mufi, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he doesn't feel like investing into this is beneficial to the Asian population that is coming here, but he is out of his mind wrong. If he knows the Japanese culture, they're rooted in this
Yeah.
MMA crap like heavy. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think
just
he
ask
just made a
Ensign.
bad. I think he just yeah exactly. I think he just made a bad choice. He doesn't know the MMA scene like the natives here. You know, so if we had somebody else that was in charge had a little bit involved into the MMA scene, then he would realize how lucrative this would be. And so I don't think he'd see you don't see the numbers, you know, adding up in his mind. So that's all it is, you know. It's a numbers game, and that's something that he cannot see or imagine.
Yeah, I never thought about that because like Mufi, he was spearheading the rail project.
Spirit and the hair, and look who's that targeting.
Right.
I don't think it's targeting the locals, you know, because I don't think that's my personal
Yeah.
opinion.
Definitely not targeting anybody in the windward side.
Nope.
Because
Who's that helping?
I'm not benefiting from that.
No, I think it's just the tourists. Like I feel like it's a new attraction to the tourists to take advantage of to explore the island a little bit easier, and that's all it is, you know. So hopefully they can, you know, you really put that money towards the natives here and actually make that catered to them 1st. Yeah, but
That's a good point too, because like Mufi was, I interviewed him a few years ago back in 2020 when he was running for
nice.
mayor, and his big thing was tourism. Like we still had to stick to tourism as a thing when people were asking for diversity in Hawaii, and I think fighting can be another thing that can add to that our economy.
oh, it can.
It's-
It definitely
UFC.
can. People in general in Hawaii is the fighting spirit is engulfed in the blood of Hawaii. You know, everybody's fighting or doing some sort of combat sport, like you, screamo, you know, or you wanting to do kickboxing. It's just bred in most locals, you know. So, I think we've steered away from fighting a lot in the past 3 years. And if you look at if you look at the crime that has been ramping up in Hawaii, I personally believe it's probably because of that. There's not that much fights anymore. There's not that
That's
much
so true.
events anymore. There's not as
There's
much
no, like,
promotions.
Destiny,
There's no Destiny, no kicking it,
Kicking,
no
yep.
bro. There was so much up and up. There's SEC. There was so much organizations
a
to fight
lot.
for. Punishment in Paradise, Muay Thai
Muay
events,
Thai,
like
yeah.
everything you could think of, and it was like every other week.
Yeah.
But now there is not.
So
What else
true.
the kids gonna do? Maybe you're taking care of the football, right? They've been around.
Yeah,
for
their
a long
outlet
time.
is not. There's
Right,
no
there's not
outlet.
enough outlets for all the kids, and we need to make sure that the avenue for the children is there. You cannot just stick to there's football as a avenue. Yeah, but what about the kids that don't want to do football? You know, what about the kids that want to do fighting? And majority of them do. And in fact, our culture is bred around fighting. And I forgot what movie that was that really outlined Hawaii as a whole. And I'm not sure if you went to Kailua High
I
School.
went to Kailua High School.
Yeah, so maybe in Kailua too. I'm not sure what they how that school operated, but in Waianae, the most popular people wasn't the most best looking people. Is the one that could scrap. So it's the fighters that was the most popular back in Hawaii in Waianae, and I believe a little bit in like Kaneohe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Most of the bigger name schools that you would hear of always get into trouble was fighters. Like my brother, he would fight people and he got popular from fighting people. You know what I mean? And I would say I'm the more smooth looking brother. But, he was more popular than me, you know what I mean? So, and it was because he was beating up everybody. And when I say that doesn't mean that we're going out beating up people. It's like, no, one person thinks that they're better than the other. So it's like two alphas trying to challenge on who's the alpha of
They're
the
testing
alpha.
themselves, right.
You know, and the greatest thing about Hawaii is that the disabled and the less fortunate individuals were protected by those that could fight. Even the Mahu communities, they never really got picked on. Like that wasn't even an issue out in back in the day.
That's so true.
They got protected. If anybody tried to bully the Mahus or the disabled, the mentally ill or challenged, nobody would play with that stuff. It was always the scrubs that was picking on those people.
Yeah.
And so the people that could scrap would not tolerate that. And in fact, I remember getting
And the scrubs will get humbled quickly.
yeah, for real. I
100%.
remember getting bullied by these two guys, and then Mahuans catch my back, shake both of them up for me, bruh, for real, like for real kind. And so it was just knowing that how rooted fighting is in the fabric of Hawaii, it's a no-brainer that the commission, the state of Hawaii needs to start investing in something that the kids can channel their
Something
aggression.
healthy,
They need
yeah.
to channel their aggression and their spare time. There's no backyard gyms anymore, bruh. Every corner,
Yeah.
nook and cranny had on gym in their yard.
Or the garage,
Yeah,
right?
the garage or
Muay Thai gyms
something.
in the garage, right?
There was something for
Yeah.
kids to get together, stay off the streets from drugs and all that kind of stuff, and work out, do something productive, whether that is fighting. And I know some people might not believe fighting is the answer, but it is
But
an
it is
avenue
something.
that's safer than shooting, right? It's an avenue safer than fighting on the streets. So, you know, it's unfortunate that I'm glad that I'm not in this generation for sure. Because at least I had an opportunity or an avenue to channel my anxiety, aggression, and frustration and stresses as a child. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's what it is.
And it keeps some of the older uncles and people from the
Busy.
older. It keeps
Yeah,
them
yep.
busy because they're going to be able to watch and
Yep.
really help
Cater to the community,
Cater to the
give back.
community, yeah.
And you gotta look, what is uncles doing if they're not doing stuff like
Yeah,
that? They
exactly.
sucking them up, you know what I mean?
Yep.
They're at the beach sucking them up, doing least productive things, making their old lady all piss off because they always at the beach drinking, you know what I mean? Get them back in the gym, get back to the kids, and keep them straight, you know? So that's just my upbringing, what I was raised on. And so I definitely feel like that's what's the missing fabric, the missing link now today, you know?
That's so true. So I want to talk about your fight with the Tiger, Mr. Tony Rodriguez, because
Okay.
you talked about having a a broken hand actually 3 weeks out before the fight.
Right.
So talk about like how fighting with, well, that was your first pro fight actually too. Talk about like fighting with an injury. How does that feel?
So I've broke my foot before,
Uh-huh.
and the way that I've attacked this last event was basically, or the Tony the Tiger fight was the same way when I broke my foot. So when I break something, you can work and master the other one, and so that's basically what I did. And so if you look at my fight with Tony, I ended up throwing a lot of left hooks,
Right.
and so I became really good and proficient with my left hook. And then when I hurt my left hand, then I get better with my right hand. And so basically, it's a part of the game, man. Injuries and all that crap, as you start fighting, you can never fight 100%. Like anybody that says that they've fought 100% is full of caca, you know what I mean? Or they're not pushing this, or they're not even training,
they're not
maybe, you know what I
training.
mean? Their cardio is probably trash. But, you know, you're always going to be you're always going to be susceptible to injuries, you know what I mean? And so it wasn't until I became a little older that I realized that we can do injury prevention training. If there was a thing called injury prevention training, then you would assume that injuries are prevalent, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so I just practiced training the opposite limbs that I had and strengthening those areas. So if something's not working, let's strengthen something else to compensate for that lack of. And that's what I did with Tony's fight, and I've always been able to adapt to my injuries and stuff like that. Yeah.
And congratulations, because you won that fight as well.
Yeah. And now I'm back to fight another Tony the Tiger.
That's true. So let's talk about that, because you had this, you basically retired, right, from fighting because you wanted to really like be there for your kids. You wanted to spend time with
Exactly.
them and then find something that was more, I don't want to say sustainable, like, in terms of like life, I guess. Because fighting is a deadly sport, man.
It is, yes.
No matter how safe it can be right now, fighting in general is a deadly sport.
For sure.
But now you're fighting again, and then you did your first fight with BKFC. You're actually with another promotion. You said BYB,
correct.
right? So why now? What do you think this is a good time to get back into it?
So one of the reasons why I was even considering coming back is the fact that I'm financially in a good place now. As a ERP administrator and developer, I make a ton of money now, and I'm not doing it for the money. I don't have to do it for the money. And then working from home,
Yeah.
I'm not slaving my body away, breaking it down at work. I'm sharpening my mind, so I'm keeping my mind straight. So all the punches that I normally take in the gym, I kind of rebuild those brain cells, at work. So all in all, I felt like I was in a good place financially. Stability is there. Foundation for my kids is there. So now I don't have to worry about my kids anymore in that space. If I did get injured or something like that, I still can sustain myself because of the line of work I have and, my insurance policies that I have that can protect them if anything happens
Yeah.
to me. So just making sure that my girls are in a good place. And I think that's something that I've always wanted to ensure. That's why I took a break. It wasn't retiring from the sport. It's just knowing that I need to align my priorities first. I see a lot of fighters, they put all their eggs in one basket, which is kind of a good thing, right? But it's a risk, it's a gamble to throw all your eggs in one basket and it doesn't make out. You know, a lot of fighters from Hawaii have done that, and now what are they doing? You know, probably still living with mom and dad, and I just couldn't see myself doing that, putting a lot of more stress because, as you already know, living in Hawaii is already a stressful thing
Oh, yeah.
already, and so I didn't want to do that to my family or even my kids, so I chose to put that on hold, put it on the back burner so that I can take care of my family. It took a little bit longer than I expected. There was a lot of hurdles and roadblocks along the way, but I always stayed involved in a part of the MMA community through my photography. So I was able to stay involved and stay connected and networked. I networked in that industry for a little bit. Got me established in my IT career. Now I'm making good money, and now I can put time aside and I can take off, man. That's something that
that's a
living
blessing.
here, you don't feel like you can do that. Like you feel enslaved to the employer, not in a bad way.
Well, living
but it's just
paycheck
like
to paycheck.
living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe wanted to. I used to work 3 jobs when I was living here, so I never
Wow.
had time. And when
Dang.
I did, it's like if I'm fighting, I gotta make my money back. You know, I have to make a good payday. And in Hawaii, they don't pay well, and so all of those components didn't align with me continuing to fight. You know, I did get a contract to go into the UFC, but I tore my ACL. I got signed with a Sucker Punch Entertainment,
really?
same company that signed Max. Me and Max was kind of getting signed at the same time. And when I tore my ACL, my whole future flashed before me. And I was like, you know what? If I do get injured again and I can never fight again, now what do I have to rely on? So I went back to college, got my bachelor's degree in business management. I took care of my priorities, got my priorities aligned, and then I'm in a place. I bought a home. My kids are doing really, really phenomenal in school. Now I feel like I can just relax my shoulders and focus on my passion again. And it wasn't. I actually got back into it because I was doing everything that I thought that I wanted to do, but I still felt a little empty, should I say. You know, I still felt empty. And so I was like, what is it? You know, I'm in church, I'm praising God, I'm doing all the works, man. I'm working, busting my butt, find a lot of fulfillment in my job. I'm in my kid's life like 24/7. I'm very present and in tune with my family. And I still felt something was missing in my life. So I started training again. And I started coaching this one chick out in North Carolina. She's from Georgia. Her name is Andrea Carter, excuse me. I started coaching her. Never had combat sport experience ever in her life. She came to the gym like, "Hey, I want to fight." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay." My coach was like, "Oh, you look like a fighter." I was like, so I took her on the mitts, horrible, garbage as heck. Started working with her for about 3 months, man. She literally was a sponge, just like me. She reminded me of myself. I just seen myself in her. Her drive, her tenacity, her want. So I took her under my wing, started training her for about 3 months, and then she wanted to test, see how far she gotten. So we ended up entering a national boxing championship, a national boxing tournament in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Took her out there. She ended up winning two titles in 2 weight classes.
Wow.
Remember the circle when I was telling you about how Max got me in? I'm not Max, but Colin. He made me corner him.
Yeah.
I cornered her, got me right back in. Was that day where I was like, shit, I gotta get back into this. This is what I'm missing.
Yeah.
So after me cornering Andrea to win her 2 titles at 2 weight classes, that's what got me back into this game.
Wow.
Yeah, just that whole full circle. Like, this is what I'm missing. So I got back into it, started
That
training,
adrenaline.
started reaching out to all of these promoters. Like, hey, I'm pleading with every promotion that I know. People reaching out to promoters like, please, let me get a fight. Let me get a fight.
Yeah.
And nobody was giving me opportunity. And then BKFC had a fight. His guy, somebody, I guess, he wanted me to fight this one guy on like 2-3 week notice. I was like, sign me up. What weight? They was asking me what weight you want to fight. I was like, anyway, just give me a match. So
Wow.
they ended up giving me a match at
That's
155, 20 pounds over my weight class. Took it, no questions asked. I told him, bro, watch. You let me fight one time. That's all it's gonna take. You're gonna always want to call me back. So that's what I did. I'm getting this match with BKFC. And in fact, the same time that I was looking for a fight, I reached out to this company organization that I'm working with now, BYB, and I've been talking to the matchmaker like, man, get me a fight. I'm telling you, you guys are not going to regret it. And, you know, he didn't really reach out to me until after I got actually, he reached out to me the day that the BKFC ended up sending me a contract. And by that time, I was like, ah, man, I already got a fight. Sorry. So he was already trying to get me a match at that time because they had an event the day after my event with BKFC. So fast forward maybe like 4 weeks ago, he ended up asking if I want to fight in London. I was like, sign me up. So, now I'm fighting again. Unfortunately, at 20 pounds over my weight class again.
Again.
But I told him this will be my last time at 155. I'll never do this crap again because I look horrible. So let me cut down to my natural 135-pound weight after this, and then we'll have better fights. You know what I mean? So that's what they're gonna do. And even yeah. So
How do you fight at that, like 20 pounds over? Because like I get, and be able to like cut back to where your natural weight at is.
I'm already just walking around 150 already. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just gaining weight. I remember the weigh-ins at BKFC. The day of the weigh-ins at BKFC, I ended up going to Texas Roadhouse to gain some weight because they have like a weight cap. You cannot be more than 5 pounds below the weight cap. So if I'm like 140, like there, I can't
You
fight
can't
the guy.
fight, right.
He would have to drop more weight, or I'd have to gain more weight. So, I ended up going to a steakhouse. So I'm trying to bulk up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you like come back from that though? Like after your fight, you're probably like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my 125.
Yeah, 135.
Or 135.
I just, like I like to walk around the weight class that I normally walk around. So when I first moved to North Carolina, I was actually 185 pounds. So I was way
Oh,
like,
wow.
it's almost 10 years I've been out. I think it was like 9, was it 9 or yeah, about 9 years I've been out. So I got the dad bod. And you guys seen it on my BKFC. That was a dad bod right there. So Josh Murray, you fought a dad. No, but yeah, so it was a lot of weight that I was just not doing nothing for a long time. So it was easy for me to cut. I was already on my journey to cut weight. It wasn't to lose weight for a fight. I was just on my way back down to a weight that's more natural to me. And I was on my way. I think I was like 149 at the time when I first got called for this event. And then I was like, okay, that's good. I normally like to fight at my weight class, hang around my weight class anyway. So I just took the match at 155, and it wasn't too bad. I definitely can feel the power difference between myself and the 155ers. But I've been at 185 for a long time, so I think my strength can kind of compensate for a little bit, and my skill probably makes up for the difference. Yeah.
That's crazy though, because then you're probably like, your speed's probably adjusted to a 135 weight, but
Yeah,
then when
for
you're
sure.
fighting 155, you must feel like a little slower a little bit.
Oh, real slow, for sure. I think that's one of the things that I've been talking about a lot with my team. It's like you guys are getting a slowed version of me. I've been sparring and working with a lot of 35ers and 45ers, and they're just so much more faster than me. The good thing is I have good timing and good precision, so I can still work with those 45, those much, much more faster fighters, and my punches look completely slower than theirs, but I'm still catching them all of my shots, because I know how to time stuff. I've been coaching
Right.
for a very long time, so
You gotta compensate for
yeah,
that,
exactly.
yeah.
So I compensate in the other areas that I'm good at. So it sucks, but I know once I get down to 135 or at least 145, it's gonna be a different. You guys are gonna see way, way better skill, just everything better for sure.
Speaking of like fighters that like maybe go up in weight, so I want to talk about John Jones for a bit, right? Because John Jones
He went up, yeah.
he fought at light heavyweight for pretty much his whole career, right up until this last fight where he fought for the heavyweight championship, and then he went up in weight, and then everybody was like, "Wow, this guy is a dad bod." But think about maybe he's not as fast as he is, but you look at his skill set, he's still there, his mind's still there, he still seems motivated, and he seems a little bit even more powerful.
I think
than
his
he is.
frame is probably a natural. He can be a natural 250.
heavyweight.
You
Yeah.
got to remember, a lot of the fighters growing up, they feel like dropping weight is like the best, most effective way of getting an advantage. But I feel like that's probably a thing of the past now. With the jujitsu and the whole because in
The game,
MMA,
yeah.
the whole game was just starting to kind of develop. People
Right.
are still starting to understand how the game works, what's the best option to fight at, what weight class, and all that kind of stuff. So they thinking like logically it makes sense, right? Lose weight and fight somebody at a lower weight than
And
you
then
would normally,
rehydrate.
and rehydrate.
Yeah.
But they're not looking at it on the other side, like. You guys both rehydrating. You know what I mean? He's rehydrating probably to his natural weight, and you rehydrating back to a weight that you probably still not supposed to be. So I don't think it's he might. I don't know. It's interesting because then if you look at the top athletes in like say the swimming, they're not shredded. The top Olympic athletes like Michael Phelps,
That's true.
They're not
Yeah.
shredded. They're just I feel like the little bit more fat is a little bit better because you can move a little bit more. You're more agile. Too much muscle is restrictive, right? Because your body got to travel. You got to move all that oxygen to all that muscle. So it's been working out for me. I've never had a six pack, and I've been doing fairly well. So yeah, it's overrated, all that muscle and stuff.
Yeah, there's like conditioning to it because
Yeah,
there's
conditioning. Yeah.
because I was reading something on like guys with like abs. You think about like bodybuilders and stuff like that. A lot of them, they're dehydrated because they're trying to. You see all the definition, but the thing is, you hit them and it's
And that's it.
It's yeah, that's it.
That's it,
It's
for
lights
real.
out. But I think like a little bit of fat really helps people to have that conditioning.
Look
and
at Cain Valesquez.
Yeah, Cain.
Prime example. He didn't have the best looking body. He had a dad body for sure.
Oh yeah.
But he was a beast. A lot of these really good athletes, they don't have to have that. Fidel Emelianenko,
Daniel Cormier.
Daniel Cormier,
Yeah.
they're phenomenal athletes, but they don't have the physique that that the swimsuit models and all that kind of stuff would normally push. I think it's already proven that we don't have to have this physique that looks like you're just a beast, and it's those that have that crazy looking physique that get destroyed. So yeah.
Like actually, I'm thinking of one fighter. But I don't want to say his name. I don't want to put him on blast, but he was a heavyweight. But
I think I know who you're talking about. Was he a wrestler?
So anyway, but yeah, like guys like Daniel Cormier, I have huge respect for because like he was someone that was technique through and through, and also he just knew like I can get through this guy.
Yeah.
He just had that confidence, even though there'd be a guy like Anthony Johnson coming up, just swinging,
shredded, big as hell.
and
Looks like a fighter.
yeah,
right?
yeah. And you look at Daniel Cormier, and I'm like, wow, this guy's coming out with chicken commercials. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
But then the thing is, it's like this guy is bad though. We don't even. They forget all that stuff. They forget
all
about
his
like
accolades and everything.
all his accolades. The guys he's fought. He fought Frank Mir in his first UFC fight. I was like, that's a crazy.
Daniel is a beast for sure.
The crazy first fight. So, shouts to Daniel Cormier. Well, but him and Max Holloway, they're always fighting for the daddest, man on the planet, right?
Who do
So
you think is winning right now?
I'm calling. Yeah, I'm saying Max. I'm saying Max.
I
Max
think
is
so
winning.
too, Max. He's shocked the world in so many areas in the world. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yep. Especially when he took out Jose Aldo.
Oh yeah,
Crazy as we all,
twice.
yeah, and fashionably. And we grew up wanting to be like Jose Aldo so much. It's crazy. Most of our training camps was surrounding around Jose Aldo. We used to look up all the training videos he used to do, and we used to train and tailor our fighting camps to Jose Aldo or a lot of the K1 fighters like Masato,
Oh, yeah.
Andy Sauer, all that kind of stuff. So it's crazy to see. We used to admire this guy to beating him in the ring. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's crazy.
Aldo was so crazy. Like his kicks,
Yeah.
dude. That guy's kicks was. I don't want to be on the other end of that. that looked like it would kill
real.
somebody. Seriously.
Max got that tree trunk so he could handle.
Yeah. Yeah, when he first fought Aldo, I was like, man, this is gonna be an interesting matchup because of Aldo's kicking style. So I was thinking, I wonder how Max is gonna approach this, but because he has the range, right?
Yeah.
And when the third round came, I already thought like, oh, he might be finishing it.
Yeah,
This might be the end.
I think I kind of knew that Max was gonna win Aldo, and the reason why is I don't know if you remember Max's fight against Bryson Kamaka when he first won his title in Hawaii at the X1. Bryson Kamaka, I feel like, was by far one of the best fighters Hawaii has ever seen, and Max just destroyed that guy. You know what I mean? It was just Max's determination and will to not come out a loser. Like he wasn't going to be a loser. He was going to give everything he could, and he was going to die on that horse all the way.
Yeah.
That's how I knew, like, Max is he's gonna upset or do something that's gonna shock the world. You know what I mean? It's that heart and that will, that grind coming from nothing.
Focus.
Yeah, we came from nothing. Our family had nothing, and then our back is against the wall, and that's how it was for most of our fights. Like, what else do we have? And so that's why I had to change that mentality because again, there is more opportunity. Like there is another way, but a lot of fighters, that's all they have. That's all they think they could ever amount to.
Survival.
Yep, it's a survival thing, and Max couldn't sit. He couldn't turn down that. He couldn't look back like, oh, I'm gonna fall on this. No,
Yeah.
he didn't have nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe baseball, but even that.
So I want to talk about your nickname, Untameable. So how did you get that nickname, and yeah, what's the origin of
It's
that?
so funny. So I used to play Madden
Okay.
football.
Okay.
So I forgot what game, what year was that? Well, it was a long time ago. If you remember, it was the Madden that had Papoose. His music was playing in Madden. I think it was like PlayStation 3, I
Oh
believe,
wow.
during that
Yeah,
time.
which
And
one was
so
that?
so I forget. But they used to have like the soundtracks that they would play in the background of
Uh-huh.
Madden football. And there was a song that was from Papoose. I don't know if you heard of that artist. He's a rapper. And there was a killer song on Madden. I was like, oh, I like this song. And then I
Uh-huh.
ended up looking him up, all his music, and then I stumbled upon a song called The Beast from Papoose.
Okay.
And the introductory and introductory of the song was insanity at its finest, fire starter, riot maker, mood stricken, animal need, bad seed, untamable, beast. And that was the song.
Oh.
And once I heard it, I was like, oh, that is what I'm
Yeah,
about.
that's crazy.
And that's
Yeah.
that's how I got it. That's how I heard that name. I was like, that is freaking killer. Nobody has it. So I was like, that's me right there. And yeah, we stuck. I told Colin about it, my old coach. I was like, bro, I think I found me a name. And I'm the only one out of our team that chose his own fight name.
Oh really?
Colin gave everybody their fight name. I was the only one. He couldn't figure out what name to name me. He just didn't know because it was yeah, it was just weird. I still gotta talk. I gotta ask him like why he never gave me a name. How come it took him so long? Because I honestly, if he would have gave me my name, I probably would have known. Like I probably would
You
have had a
would've
name
stuck with
from
it.
him. Yeah. But he couldn't get it. He named Max. He named Max both of his fight names. Or actually, Max named himself the Little Evil originally,
Right.
but Colin
Right, I remember
McKenzie
that.
named Max Blessed. And so
Okay.
Max Iron or my boy Kona K, his Iron Mike Iron Kona K, like he was naming all of us our fight names, but he just couldn't figure out one for me because of
Oh.
my fire, my ability to just push forward and not give up and just I was a Tasmanian devil pretty much.
Untamable,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that was the only thing that I was like, this fits me, bro. I told him about it. He's like, yep, that's the one right there. So yeah,
Oh, he
pretty
must have
crazy.
been stoked then.
Yeah, that was a killer one. Yeah.
Because he's probably just sitting there like, oh man, what is John's nickname?
We've
gonna
been
be?
thinking, bro, for a long time, and he just never could come up with something. That's so weird. But everyone else, he instantly had something. Maybe a day or two later. Even our fight names, he ended up coming up, but he just never could come up with a name for me. Yeah. So I had to improvise, I guess. Listen to some music.
Yeah. I want to switch topics a little bit. So I want to talk about the Steelers because you're a Steelers fan.
I am.
Of course, people know
am.
I'm a Steelers fan. I've had
am.
this cup on set for maybe the past like four episodes, I think.
Nice.
Oh my goodness gracious. But yeah, how'd you get into being a Steelers fan?
So
man?
I originally was a Eagles fan.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day when Ty Law, Lethor Shepard, Brian Dawkins, and
Brian Dawkins.
oh man, all of them guys. So it was during McNabb was the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a heavy
Terrell
Eagles
Owens,
fan.
yeah.
Terrell Owens, yeah, Pinkston. Oh man, they had a freaking beast
Oh, they
offense.
did.
That was probably the best. Oh man,
That was a scary team,
That
man.
was a scary team. But anyways, that used to be my team, and that's why I used to play in Madden. I used to play them all the time. Anyways, we used to play this game. I don't know if you remember, if any of the locals remember, but there was a game called Smith Queer or Smith Queer or some
Yeah.
shit like that, where you throw the ball in the air, whoever catches got to run, and
Yeah.
everybody got to tackle them. We used to play that. I used to catch the ball, and nobody could take me down. So my brother Chris would call me like, "Brah, you remind me of the bus." Jerome Bettis, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?" And he turned me on to Jerome Bettis. I started looking him up. Seen the video against him and Urlacher, where he had run Urlacher over.
Yeah, it was
and
crazy.
that was it. That was the one. So he showed me about that. I started looking him up. Then I started playing Madden. So what I did is I don't know if you can still do it now. I don't play Madden anymore. But what I'll do is I'll pick Pittsburgh Steelers because of Jerome Bettis, and I'll change my offensive playbook to Eagles. Because I knew them so well. So I was playing the game like I was playing Eagles, but with Pittsburgh as a team. And I just stuck with them because I liked Jerome Bettis. And, then I started to learn all the players. That's when they had, what's his name?
They had
Hines
Ferrier.
Ward. They had, who's the Westbrook. Oh, they had all kinds of great players. Like they had great players too. You know what I mean? They had Troy Polamalu. They had
James Harrison.
Oh yeah, James Harrison's a beast. Yeah, so
He's still
during
a
that
beast.
time, heck yeah.
He's
But during
scary.
that time, so I was like, I left a good team,
Uh-huh.
Eagles, and I got a new good team. Like they're great too. So I still was watching Eagles. You know what I mean? Because I liked the team that they had. That they started to diminish. And so I started to be more of a Pittsburgh fan, and I just was like, you know what, I might as well just jump ship. So I jumped ship when I was probably like in the 7th grade. I was like fully a Eagles, Pittsburgh fan. Now it's like I'm a Pittsburgh fan, and then Eagles is my backup if they ever in playoffs or whatever the case may be. But yeah, and then the crazy thing, I had no idea, but they were in the same state, so I was even like,
Oh,
that
really?
is so killer. So it made sense, you know what I mean? Two of my teams in the same state. So, but Pittsburgh is my fan. Like I've been a Pittsburgh fan since I can last from like a long time, pretty much my whole life. I've only been a Eagles fan maybe a year or so when I started playing Madden, and then I started paying attention to the game and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm a Pittsburgh fan all the way.
Yeah. How do you think they're gonna do this year?
Um,
They got a killer draft.
They did. I
will say.
I haven't paid attention too much. Like I'm not a heavy sports fan. I don't even watch MMA, to be honest. And I'm an MMA fan. I just don't have time to be paying attention to sports. I'm in IT, man. Like what you do, it's hard to really escape from work sometimes.
Yeah.
And I still got to remind myself, like, it's either work or workout or my family. So there's those three things, is prioritizing that and actually staying. So all I do is watch the recap of Pittsburgh Steelers games and stuff. If I can watch a full game, then I will go out with a friend and watch at the bar or something like that.
Yeah.
But I barely watch, man. But I think Pittsburgh's always been doing well. Like they've never let me down in a manner like I'm disappointed. Like, oh yeah, you guys is horrible. I gotta jump ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always they're always producing or allowing stars to rise in their organization. So
They're always
I
creating.
think they're always
guys.
gonna do
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they always. And the
Creating
thing is, I tell
superstars
people,
there.
like, you can never not name somebody from Pittsburgh Steelers. You always got somebody that's making a wave, making a shock wave through the whole NFL every single year. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
we always I keep I listen here and there, but I'm not really like engulfed into sports that much. But Pittsburgh is a fan. I watch every single one of the games. I watch an actual. Did you go to a Pittsburgh Steelers game?
Not yet.
I went to one.
Dang. One
I
day.
went to
One
it.
day.
Yeah, Pittsburgh versus North Carolina Panthers.
Oh,
right in
okay.
my hometown.
Oh, wow,
Yeah, so that's
perfect.
cool. Yep, I didn't have to go nowhere. Tickets was hella expensive, but still worth it. Took my whole family.
Yeah, you're right though. Like Pittsburgh always has somebody that easily recognizable,
Yeah.
right? Even if it's Antonio Brown, who has
Yep, been
he's
one of those.
notorious for all kinds of antics he's doing even now. But like, there's guys Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
You know
we
what I
got,
mean?
What's his name?
So Antonio Holmes even had
What's
Hines
that running
Ward,
back now?
running back.
Yeah.
Oh, now?
Yeah. what's his name?
Najee.
Najee Harrison.
Najee
or something.
Harris, yep.
Yeah, him. You got our defense. Offense is still
TJ.
good. TJ and his brother now. What's his TJ and what's his brother? That's crazy. They got brothers in the same
Yeah.
team. That's so sick.
Oh, what's his brother's name?
Man, he's
Shoot.
good too.
Oh, we're
Shucks.
bad Steelers fans. We're
horrible.
terrible Steelers.
But yeah,
It's
we
on the
always
tip of
got,
my
we
tongue,
got had
too.
we also had freaking what's his name? Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he had his. I think
Juju.
he had his best run with Pittsburgh. But he did win. He got a Super. It's crazy. All of these
Yeah.
good players left us and got a Super Bowl ring after.
Yeah,
So
James
horrible.
Harris.
That's
well,
so
James Harris, he
horrible.
went to Patriots, but he didn't get a ring with them, though.
But
he did get a ring with us.
yeah. What's his name? Did Antonio Brown
Oh
and
yeah,
Juju
Antonio Brown.
Juju Smith-Schuster with Holmes.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they've been getting their rings. You
Yeah.
know, I'm glad for those that's been sticking around without a ring.
Yeah.
Did TJ get a ring yet?
TJ did. He
He
didn't.
never?
He
Not
didn't
yet?
get- Not yet.
He deserves one. They got to get his ass a ring, man.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Pittsburgh, this is probably going to be the year. Let's go. Now, we got a football, what is it? We got a stacked season, man, this year. All the teams are freaking good now.
And Kenny is developing.
Yeah,
The
he's
kid-
moving. He's moving
Yeah,
for
he's
sure.
moving.
Oh, man. That was one of the things that I was kind of bummed. Like, I think we held on to Big Ben a little too long. I think we should have tried to start building up these other. He's just old already, but his IQ is a beast. He is. I think he's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks for sure. But he should have let that ring go a little bit. He was holding on way too long, that guy.
So I saw an interview with him because he has his own podcast now,
Oh,
right?
Big Ben.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And he actually interviewed Kenny. Kenny was on his
Oh,
show,
nice.
right, which is interesting because the thing about Big Ben when they had what's his name Rudolph. What is his first name? Mason Rudolph, right? Come in as
Yeah.
QB. He hated it. He didn't like the idea of it because the thing about like Big Ben, he's just a competitor. He always
Right.
loved to play.
Always
And
leaning in.
and the thing is, like, he even was admitting when Kenny Pickett was drafted after Big Ben left the Steelers, he was a little like
Salty a little bit.
a little salty too, and he admitted it. But the thing is, as he watched Kenny progress, he started rooting for him, and really like now he just full on like loves the guy, right? But the thing is, it's like Big Ben. I think for like ex NFL players, I'm sure for MMA fighters as well, stepping away from the sport must be a big thing because it's they engulf themselves around
For
their
sure.
whole life, and to see them outside of that must be super hard for them.
I would assume so. Yeah, I think a lot of I just went to Hybrid last night and I seen some of the old school fighters, you know what I mean? And I was like, for example, Khalil Kwan, I was talking to him, and it's funny because he talks about how every time he comes to the gym, he wants to get back in there. But you got to remind himself that he cannot go back to that anymore. You know what I mean? He's past the age of going back, and he could get hurt, and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate, but the good thing is he's in the back in, but he's giving now. You know what I mean? Rather than taking from the sport, not in a bad way, but he's giving to the sport now. And so I think that's what Ben needs to start doing is giving back to the young bucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Kenny Pickett. and all
Mentoring,
that. Yeah,
right?
mentoring. He should have been doing that with Rudolph or
Yeah, he
Randolph,
should have
whatever.
been.
I mean, a little bit
Shout out
more.
to
I know,
Big Ben.
I know he was a little bit, but he should have, like you said, his competitive spirit. He thought he could just keep doing it.
Yeah.
But he should have been at that point already seasoning him up. Putting
Yeah,
the
he
stamp
shoulda
of
laid the
approval on
foundation,
him, and I
right?
think he would have been still there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think he would have done great. He was a very up and coming little. Yeah, I don't know. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I've seen some great things with that guy.
Yeah.
Who is he with now?
Well, wait, Big Bang?
No, not Big Ben.
Rudolph?
Yeah,
He's still with.
he's still with Pitts.
yeah.
He's a what, second string or third string?
He's the
now?
third string, I
Yeah.
think. Because Trubisky, I think, second string.
Oh, what's that Popolo guy that was the quarterback there?
Um,
He was there around the same time as,
Maddox.
and they were both challenging. Pretty much,
What was his name?
he was third string too as well. Because at Big Ben, what's his name? Rudolph, and then that black
And that
Popolo
one
guy.
guy,
But he was pretty good. He was more of like a Michael Vick type of
Yeah.
running style. He could move. He was very smart. Forgot his name, but that was a
I
good
know who
one
you're talking
too.
about.
He was pretty good too.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They had pretty good, because those quarterbacks weren't that bad. They just
Yeah.
wasn't as seasoned. That's all. They need a little bit more time in the game to adapt to the lights. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think they had enough time to work with them, and I think Pittsburgh was a little bit too impatient and waiting.
Yeah, the thing about Rudolph, right, which I'll talk about a little bit, because I thought when he came out of college, I thought he had a strong arm. He could really take the Steelers to the next level.
I think so. I thought so too.
But it's just the thing is the passing of the torch wasn't there, and
Nope, that's exactly what it was. It was the passing of the torch, and that's what Ben did not want to do.
Yeah.
He kept holding on to it, being, I don't want to say selfish, but that competitive spirit in him was too strong, and that
helping him
held
to
away,
ease
yeah.
into
For
to
sure.
the sport as well, to ease into the
Retirement
NFL.
side, yeah.
Because you look at guys like Aaron Rodgers, right? Who, when they drafted Jordan Love, right? Of course, Aaron was salty, but he always stayed a good relationship with Jordan Love. And then Jordan Love even talks about, Aaron was always, communicating with me, showing me plays, helping me to like develop as a player. And now that Aaron's not on the Packers anymore, he's with the Jets. Jordan Love's going to come into the Packers and really see, all that training that Aaron was able to,
Pass on, yeah.
to invest in Jordan. Like, we'll see how it
off.
pans out. But with Mason, I think there was like, I don't know, there was just some disconnect with Big Ben and him.
Yeah, they did portray that Ben was actually doing that, but
Yeah.
it seems like you could kind of tell from the the dividends that it wasn't so
The playing time.
Yeah,
Yep.
the playing time, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
So,
Bummer.
well, it's sad, but shout out to Big Ben.
Yeah, shout out to you, Ben.
I love Big Ben,
yeah,
even
for
though
sure.
with all those other allegations, whatever, Big Ben was.
That's my quarter. That was one of the quarterbacks I was glad to support and root every single game for sure. You could always rely on Big Ben to not do so bad. He's always a winning quarterback for sure.
And he was always a guy that I thought because of his stature and everything, his build, it was hard for him to get taken down.
Yeah.
Because,
and then I think it's how we were mentioning that Pittsburgh always developed stars. I think it was because of Big Ben. He was able to see the potentials in players. Just like when with Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown owes Big Ben the light that he has,
of course,
man.
totally.
Being able to just trust in somebody like that, it requires a two-person trust. You know what I mean? Not just one. You know what I mean? It required Ben to trust that this guy gonna catch this ball. Even with what's his name too, Juju Smith-Schuster. All those guys. He's trusting them. Like, hey, we got this connection. I know this guy can catch this ball. You know what I mean? So Big Ben did play a big role in all of these wide receivers making it really big in the game for sure.
Yeah, guys like Santonio Holmes, Hines Ward, even.
For sure.
The thing is, they had to have a good quarterback to help them really develop and
Heck yeah.
give them those looks down the field.
Yep,
You know
those
what I mean?
reps.
Those reps.
Yep, for
And Big Ben really helped.
he did.
Even Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was
Oh,
a catching running back. You know what I mean? And that's because of Big Ben.
But then we cannot leave out props to the offensive line.
The offensive line.
That offensive line,
was
my
crazy.
gosh. We had one of the best offensive lines.
Yep.
I think that's what gave Ben the opportunity to do what he did for sure. Offensive line was a beast. Yeah.
We always drafted, and we always kept guys, involved, especially, defense. I'd say offensive line, and then building pieces around it to really
Complement
to
our
complement
offense
each
game.
other. Yeah.
And then we also put a good. I don't think we've created our still curtain yet, but we're very close.
We're close.
So hopefully we can get that soon.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what made Pittsburgh and put Pittsburgh on the map. So hopefully that will happen again.
Just a couple more questions I have. So first off, how do you mentally handle wins versus losses? So let's say right after a fight, how do you mentally handle that?
So initially, like I said, I do this for the fun. It's a great way for me to communicate and connect with people. I'm a very social person, should I say, and I like reaching people and in mentoring them down the right path. In fact, there's a lot of kids at my gym that I'm coaching at now that really look up to me. So whenever I win, I know that these wins are just making me one more step closer to being a mentor that someone can look up to. There's tons of fighters that look up to me now too because I'm winning. So the more wins I get, the more people are inclined to look up for me for guidance. And for me, I take pride in leading kids and adults into better pastures. You know what I mean? Removing themselves from the victim mentality and turning them into victors of their lives and stuff like that. So
I like that.
Yeah, so I feel like the fighting, the winnings, it doesn't really matter. As long as I do and put on do well and put on a good show, that leaves room for people to look up to me, and in which I can then use that platform to touch a family's heart or transform someone's mindset, right? Renew their hearts and minds to accomplish something that they feel like they could never do,
Yeah.
And then that allows me to share my testimony on where I started, you know what I mean? There's my background, like I said, I'm from a family of 11. I felt like I used to be the black sheep. I remember when I was a kid, I used to work. I used to clean up a restaurant to get food to eat at night. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, because
That's crazy.
and it wasn't because we never had food. Well, we didn't have food. Well, we had 11 kids. I had 11 brothers and sisters, and I have over 65 nieces and nephews. So I had a huge family that my mom was feeding for, and so if we're not home at a certain time, all that food is gone.
Yeah.
So I'd get home and there's nothing left. So I'd have to go to the Japanese restaurant across the street from my house, Maka Chop Suey, and I used to take out the trash and wipe tables, and they'd give me a plate of food.
Wow.
So I never had the most wealthiest parents or the best upbringing. I had, brothers and sisters that's in and out of jail or on and off drugs, or, you know what I mean? So my deck of hands weren't the best. I didn't have great mentors until I kind of started fighting. So a lot of kids need mentors. And so if I can create a platform that I can mentor children or anybody in changing their life for the better, then I'm going to do. So it doesn't put pressure on me to win or not. It just reminds me that every time that I step in the ring, I'm meeting one more new person that I can help or transform or help or lead or something like that, And then for the losses, I don't take any losses as a big thing. I think if I legitimately lost, because I got some losses on my record that's pretty questionable. But if I lost, I think for the most part, it's just a teaching lesson, We don't lose, we just learn. And so all of my L's are learning moments in which I can go back home and correct. So whenever I lose an area, then I'm correcting everybody at my gym. Everybody, because it's probably, if I'm doing it, somebody else in my gym is doing it. So I'm creating strategies and game plans to improve my entire team. Because when I lose, I feel like my whole entire team lose. And I take pride in trying to win for everybody. Because if I win, then we all win. So yeah,
definitely. Wow, interesting. And then one of the last questions. So like, if someone wanted to get into the fight game, or even just getting started, what's the best advice you have for them?
Depending on it, have they ever had any mixed martial arts experience at all, or just nothing at all?
Let's say nothing at all.
I think you need to make sure that you don't just jump into a gym just because they're the closest gym around you. You need to really find a coach that's really passionate about this sport. Because if you get into a gym where you got these guys that think they're coaches, because not everybody can coach. Even fighters, not every fighter can coach. Just because they got experience, that doesn't make them a good coach. A coach is someone that understands, that can lead, that can encourage and help you find discipline in something. Because like anything, it requires a lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment. And you need someone that can speak that into you, help to bring that out of you before any of the other stuff. Because if you can get a good foundation in the art of discipline, the art of never giving up, resilience, fortitude, all those things, then along the lines you will find a great coach that has the skills that can teach you. You know what I mean? And just getting a good mentor in your life to lead you, guide you, because eventually you will find a good coach. You will eventually find a good coach. You might not have the greatest in the beginning, but if he can give you that core value part, then when you go into a gym and you're ready to step it up and actually put your best foot forward and learn and all that kind of stuff, then you'll get that. You need somebody to be able to speak life into you, be able to pull you out of those dark moments in life, because a lot of fighters have that, right? Where they're fighting adversity, have to deal with ambiguity in their life. So you need somebody that can help you through that. Not necessarily be the greatest coach, but someone can translate technical things to non-technical individuals, be able to encourage you to stay out of trouble, stuff like that. Then as you progress, do your own homework. I'm a resilient person and resourceful, so there's so much content out there, so you can learn additional stuff if you wanted to, but you need to have that heart, that determination, that character to build yourself with the help of someone else, so that's what I would say. And then try your best to make sure that your coach is not a jealous coach. That's another scary thing too, because you can end up getting connected with the thing with Hawaiians are very loyal creatures, right? They try to stay loyal as much as they can. But it's some people are loyal to the wrong people sometimes, and there's opportunities for you to grow in other places, and you might outgrow that person. So you just got to keep that open mentality and be straightforward with people. Focus on your character before anything else, because that's what's going to put you in a place where you can train with the greatest of greats. I've trained with tons of champions. I've trained with AKA, I trained with Cain, Josh Koscheck, Paul Benatello, Misha Tate, Gina Cyborg, Randy Couture, freaking pro boxers here and there. Like I've been all over, fighting and traveling, and it's because of my character that put me in those places. Not necessarily all my skill. I networked, right? I got the right people in my corner. Trained with BJ guys. I've trained all over because I was always open to learn. I was a sponge, a perpetual learner. So those are the things that I would say is what takes an individual to do well in this game, you know. So that would be my first thing, is make sure that the coach that you're working at, that you're gonna work with, that you're gonna commit to for a little bit, that they have good characteristics of a good coach first. Then you obviously gonna outgrow that person, but you have a good foundation. Then you can outgrow that person, knowing that the next phase of your life is gonna be great. You know, yeah.
I think a lot of it too is understanding who you are as a person too, because I guess if you want to get into the right position, then if you know yourself and you know the person that's going to take you to that next level, then you'll instantly know, you'll click with them.
For sure, but sometimes that first person, well, now you're right, because then it's always a next level, right?
Yeah.
And that person might take you to that next level, but there's more levels to that,
More levels
and that
to that.
person might not be able to take you there, right? And so you got to be willing to let that person go, and that person got to be able to willing to see, like, hey, you know what, I got to let this bird fly off, right? Some coaches don't do that. Some coaches they hold fighters back from greatness, you know, they hold their fighters back, and that's a huge thing. It's hard to navigate. A lot of fighters in Hawaii, we got a talented pool of fighters here, a very, very talented pool of fighters in Hawaii. And so most of them, they stay loyal, and they kind of just shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. And then the coaches that are making them feel loyal, giving them the guilt trip and all that kind of stuff, they're doing a disservice to their team, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. The political side of the fighting game is really tough. So just having that mindset, and just knowing and just staying dedicated to it. Don't give up too soon, you know. Devote some time, set up a time frame that you want to devote. Stick to that, even though you know it sucks. It is suck. This thing can be very sucky. I'm pretty sure even your podcast, there's times where it's just like crazy, you know what I mean? A lot of work, but you're sticking it out, and it's paying dividends. It's going to over the long run. It will eventually catch. It will eventually, and that's with fighting, you know, it'll eventually catch. It took me freaking almost 50 fights to get to a place where I feel like, I don't say I made it, but I feel like I'm doing something now, you know what I mean? Getting some eyes on me a little bit more now, so yeah.
Well, thank you, John, for coming on the show. This is a huge blessing to me because, you're literally here in Hawaii for a short time, but thank you for coming on the show and talking story with us.
For sure, man. Thanks for squeezing me in.
Of course, man. Real quick, do you have any like socials you want to shout out, or anywhere people can find you? Twitter,
For sure. Yeah,
Instagram?
absolutely. So I'm pretty straightforward. My you can reach me at untameable.net, or you can find me on any social media platform at untameable61. So that's UNTAMEABLE61, or untameable.net. And there you can find my sponsors, which I would love to for you guys to go and check out. And
if you want to shout them out, you can.
Yeah, so we got a handful of people. I'm probably going to forget all, but Misguided Individuals, Shark, Bet Shark, New Level Concepts, He Above All, Top Gun Barber. We got Lucky Owl Rental Car Company. We have, what else? We got Precision Construction. We have Eddie, what's it called? Makua, which is a comic book man. He writes comics.
Really?
Yeah, so that's one of my
That's
newest
cool,
sponsors.
man.
Super cool. Local boy too. Well, he's not native to here, but he's actually from South Carolina. He moved to Hawaii when he was young.
Crap,
He'd been
man.
here in the
That's
MMA
crazy.
game for a long time, and this is his home right here. And he moved back to South Carolina, so he came to my fight as well. And then who else we got? Yeah, I think that's all for right now. And if I did miss you guys, please check out my website at untameable.net/sponsors, and then just go give my sponsors a follow. And that's what allows my fighting to continue to grow, right? It allows them to support me. So, and that's with every fighter. If you have a fighter that you support their sponsors, you know, look at their products and services that they're offering, and support us by supporting them, you know, so that they can continue to support us. So it's a huge thing that I've never learned until I started
That's a really
to
good point.
make good money now. It's like we gotta support. If you support your fighter, you gotta support who they support. That support them. You know what I mean? And just like this, your podcast, and I'm gonna be sure that everyone, you know, gotta follow this journey, your journey. You're doing
thank you.
good work, and you guys gotta get out there and support. Like, you guys need to legitimately get in there, comment on their post and share their content, and it's free. It's literally free for you folks to do that, you know. So yeah, that's all that I can think of right now. If I do miss you, sorry. I love you guys.
Well, thank you so much, John. Thank you
sure,
for the shout out.
For sure.
So at the end of every show, we always do a kampai. So
Okay.
we always do the cheers at the very end. John, this is to you. This is to your future in fighting. This is to your future in whatever you're doing, even coaching. You know what I mean? And just thank you for coming on the show, and blessings to you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Kampai.